What's up guys? Today we're going to go over our first Sword of Convallaria video. I did not think I would be doing videos this soon, but I like this game so much and I want to see it be successful, so I was like, why not contribute? Why not be part of the future you envision, right? So we're gonna go over Lutfi, how he plays, how he might play, what team he'll be good for, what's his roles, stuff like this. Generally looking at it, I think he's a pretty cool character. But I think I'm going to do this for like older characters as well, just to, I guess, give my 2 cents, put more content out there on the ether. So let's just go over it. I will say I did pop a few rolls for Lutfi already, and I did get this level up to star 2. So just have that in mind. And I did also rank 12 them, but I think if in the future, hopefully I won't do that. I'll do the video before I actually rank them up, or do it during the video, so it's not like, I don't know, wonky to read through as you're like wondering like, why does your Lutfi look different? Part of it is like probably expected, but you know, it's just a little bit off, right? Anyway, so let's go over Lutfi's trait. Smiling Mask. At the start of the turn, locks onto 3 random enemies within 4 tiles of the character and moves their alert status. Sounds pretty good and pretty straightforward. One thing I'm curious though is I didn't really know alert was a buff. So this is kind of interesting because basically, if this is a buff, you can already have dispelled alerts in the past, right? I'm thinking of stuff like Tear. I can just dispel sort of, like, can Tear dispel? I guess if you're in range and alert range is that low, yeah, you can dispel with like the auto, I think. But like, yeah, you can just like dispel, but he's passively dispelling alerts, so that's cool. I think it'll come up more often than, I don't know, I know a lot of these abilities have like these small little icing on the cakes, like I think Hazna's blind. This sort of feels like that, but I think this is going to be less niche, right? This is probably going to be more common because I think, you know, alert can be like a pretty, I think, plausible strategy. Like when everyone's like running alert units, you can't get in range because they're just going to destroy you, right? It's a really strong defensive ability, I feel like. But yeah, this is cool. I think this will be useful. But let's go to the next part, which is each debuff inflicted on a target before attacking increases the character's attack by 5% up to 20%. After casting a support or debuff skill on the enemy, for each debuff the target has, inflicts life loss equal to 5% of physical attack up to 15% of physical attack for 1 turn. Can be triggered up to 4 times per round. I'm actually curious if this is tied to the star level. It probably is. I think all traits are, right? So a lot of this is probably changing. I'm curious what other additional things he's getting. He's probably like getting longer alerts, removal ranges, right? He's probably moving alert from more enemies, and of course these numbers are probably going up generally. I think this is like a cool ability. It definitely seems it lends itself to being like similar role as like a not a combo, but Convallaria, right? It's sort of dealing piercing damage over time, and you're sort of just like passively doing it, right? Like all this damage that's being dealt is being dealt over time. That's cool, right? I think he's going to be not as long range, just assuming because he just has a sword, right? Like, imagine. So to me, it seems like he plays more like a mage kind of role, and like a debuffer. So I feel like there's a lot of overlap between him and a Kanbei. I don't know how that would work on a team, but like it could be a not Kanbei, but Convallaria. But I feel like they could play similar roles. Like if you're playing like a life loss build or damage over time build, you probably like swap this out for swap Convallaria out for him. And like your team probably works like 99% of the time similarly. So this is a cool ability. I think it's a cool ability. Also, it seems like super strong once you get like ranked up, because this is like 15% 4 times. Okay, maybe it's not that strong. I'm not sure how it stacks up with the attack, but I'm sure like your attack goes up and then life loss is applied to the percentage of the physical attack is applied after your ramped up character's attacks, right? So you're at 20%, and like 15% of the additional 20% is like getting multiplicatively stronger there, right? That's pretty cool. I think it's a lot of I don't know, thinking, a lot of planning, right? Because you have to think about who has the most amount of debuffs, target them, but also you have to play defensively too, based off like what I've seen from his abilities. So and also it's like sort of luck of the draw too, with how some of his abilities are working. So I think it's a cool little interesting like ability here, passive here. I am curious though, like on a damage test, like turn over turn, who's doing more damage, him or Convallaria? I would imagine him just because he needs something to round out like the lack of damage that he does compared to Convallaria. Because Convallaria's range, like he just do damage anywhere, anytime. Or like this guy's got to get up close. Okay, so let's go to his skills, and you can see some of the stuff I'm saying here. So we got backstab, we have tactics. Generally on the tactics side, it seems like it's more so just passively dealing damage. On the left side is like you're going up and close, which is like kind of cool. So for backstab, extreme edge, this is one of his first abilities. I did not take this personally, but it is like a pretty close range nuke. 150% damage. If the target is injured state, crit and crit damage is additionally increased by 30% when attacking, ignoring assisting cover. So this is just like extremely potent nuke, right? 150% damage that can crit to 30%, or actually over 300% damage, right? I'm assuming crit is 2 times multiplier here. So like 300 damage, that's quite a lot. That's a lot, right? You're probably almost killing like a squishy unit here. Maybe a little more. I think like damage ends up rounding around like 3k, right? And so you're multiplying that by 2 plus some. I'm sorry, you're basically multiplying that by 3, right? Because you get 300% damage. That's like 9k health. That's like almost a Coco, assuming there's no like assisting cover happening here, or like I don't know, damage reduction happening here. Like this is pretty significant, which is cool. But also like, okay, then your Lutfi's in range. Like I don't know how his speed compares to everyone, but that's really close. That's really close. But strong. That's strong, right? You're playing him more like an assassin, right? Like one of those 5 movement range units. That's probably where you're going with that. Okay, so next we have Summon Bodyguard. This is like Princess Inanna. It's like, okay. I don't know if this is like worth going for, because I haven't checked actually. I haven't checked the we can just check the trait. I haven't checked to see if this like increases anything with the trait. So the trait reduces some of the planning time, inflicts 1 random debuff over its duration, life loss, more numbers. Okay, his numbers just generally go up, and then there's also the fact that locks onto 4 random enemies with 6 tiles. Randomly, passively adds a debuff, lasting for 2 turns. Duration receiver, and recovers additional energy at the end of the turn. Okay, I mean it didn't change that much. He's just like a combat. I'm sorry, Convallaria in that sense. Okay, so from that, it seems like yeah, the bodyguard just isn't scaling off of his trait. Unlike Inanna, is it worth it? Maybe, unless you're like really looking to like have like this, I don't know, army of summons. Maybe it's probably not worth it. But I think I pulled it anyways. I think it's good for like, I don't know, I guess causing or I guess protecting Lutfi here. I can imagine like you summon the bodyguard and then you go in with the extreme edge and the bodyguard's right by, and so he like covers for Lutfi. Maybe it's a good strategy. I just feel like your bodyguard is gonna die easily there, but maybe you really care about Lutfi. It's like protect the queen kind of composition for you're going for. Like it's like cute, I guess. All right, next skills. Rank 3, right. Alienation, passive at the end of turn, locks on 3 random enemies within 3 tiles of the character, inflicting no assists, down attack 2, and vulnerable 3 for 2 turns. This is pretty good, right? I think this by itself will trigger your passive 4 times. So this is like pretty strong. This is like if you want to get Lutfi his bang for his buck, like you just play this, and like I think you don't need to worry about applying any more debuffs, right? Because this is gonna apply all the trait debuffs. I said passive, I just meant trait. This is gonna apply all the traits debuffs, right? Possible debuffs, because you can do 4 per turn. I guess you need 1 more, and I guess that could be like your auto attack or something like that, or some other random skill you're gonna use for the turn. But like this is like pretty good. So it's like generally doing the whole supportive thing. Like it's increasing damage you're doing with the vulnerable 3, and it's decreasing the damage that they're doing with attack down -2. Which also even allows room for additional debuffs here, because it's no, it's not. It's attack down 2. I'll say if it's damage down 2, that'd been really good, because I feel like that's the more rare one. Attack down 2 is like pretty common, I feel like. So this is like whatever. But like yeah, this is like really good. This is like a good supportive ability. Probably want to run this. This is what I chose anyways. And the next one is I think just a supportive damage buff. Increases crit by 20%. Increases crit damage by 10% for all allies in 3 tiles. I think this is assuming him too. It's like pretty good. I guess you're going for like a raw damage comp. It's like, is this better though? If you're doing raw damage comp, if you have someone stronger than Lutfi, maybe, but like this is applying his passive, right? This is giving you 30%, I guess, damage increase. We're like, oh, I see. So this is, instead of 30%, if crit is ×2, this is like definitely better, right? Assuming like we get the crit damage and the crit up to use the crit damage. Like this is like just more raw damage. Okay, fair enough. So I think that makes sense of the choice I picked there. So yeah, alienation I think is probably better, but even for this, even if you're going like a backstab build, like a close melee build, you probably want to go like the extreme edge with alienation, just because alienation just seems so good. This seems like a more full-on support kind of pick for the full victory. Okay, rank 5, left to right. Energy recovery. When hit by an active attack, damage taken is decreased by 8%. Upon receiving an active attack, additionally recovers 1 energy. This is okay. I mean, I don't know if there's many units that actually care for this sort of ability unless they're like a tankier unit, right? That really cares about energy usage. This sort of implies that like if you play a sort of backstab comp with the composition with like Lutfi, he's going to be taking damage, right? This is why I'm sort of alluding to, if you do go the backstab with the extreme edge, you probably want to take something like a summon bodyguard just to deflect or redirect some of that damage to someone else, because I don't know if Lutfi is he's not really the tanky type, right? So that sort of just is pushing him in a direction, it feels like. It's sort of suggesting, like alluding to that, like, yeah, Lutfi, he really needs to get in there, be relevant, and then like get out or something, just because like he's getting attacked and he wants to use that energy, but like he's also not a defender unit. So interesting. And we also have the disturbance. This is the one I picked. So reaction at the end of turn, if no damage was dealt during this turn, inflicts 1 random level 2 attribute debuff and life loss equal to 40% of the physical attack on 3 random enemies within 3 tiles of the character, lasting for 2 turns. So this is like really strong ability, right? So Lutfi by himself, if you look back at his trait, so by himself without even like using any sort of like, I don't know, additional damage from like other places in his kit, it's like 5% times 4 is 20% life loss. But assuming you're buffing, you're using him to his like fullest extent, I don't know what that would look like or how that would work, but like it'd be 15 times 4. I think damage is additive here, of course. So that would be like 60% life loss, right? 15 times 4, just with his passive on rank 2. And then you have another 40% from, let's see, where was I? From his disturbance on 3 random enemies. Assuming you're attacking 1 enemy, that's 80% life loss right there from attacks. Now, if you remember Convallaria is 100%. So he hasn't even done an ability, and he's like rivaling Convallaria in like Merry Christmas Land, right? If he's attacking a person with like all the debuffs, and like he's also just like ramped up for his passive, it's like pretty close to Convallaria right there in terms of damage. Of course, it's the end of turn, so the reason why you say it's like close, or it's like a little kind of shaky when you're sort of comparing damage here is because, like, in theory, like literally if the person who Lutfi attacked goes right after Lutfi and like heals or like dispels any of these life losses, I guess it's a lot of life loss, right? Life loss isn't a single debuff, it's multiple debuffs. In theory, like you could remove these attacks basically, right? You could basically silence Lutfi in that sense, right? Because he didn't do any damage because all the debuffs are removed, so he's basically just like not participating. He's like not in the game in that sense. Now, granted, you're basically using a whole turn to remove all those attacks. It's like that's sort of the trade-off, right? With having like these life loss abilities, which I don't think is too relevant, but I can imagine if there is a more prevalent PvP system or game mode in this game, like that could be something you might want to think about. So that's interesting. This is doing a lot of damage here already, and that's with only like a few abilities. And so like I also don't actually, I'm come thinking of it now, the life loss isn't impacted by the attack, right? So the vulnerable, right? So like I don't think life loss will be impacted by the vulnerable 3. So it's not gonna be like 40% life loss plus the 30% of the increased damage from like the invulnerable 3, right? I think there's no overlap here. I think life loss is just like straight damage, direct damage, not impacted by any sort of those debuffs. Which is like, I guess, fair, but like also if that's not the case, like I expect this guy to do like so much damage here already, because he's definitely like tacking on this at the end of every turn, so it's so much damage already. Okay, cool. So this sort of also requires him to not do damage this turn. So what other things can we do if we're not doing damage, or I guess playing part of his kit, right? I'm assuming because the way that his kit works is like you're debuffing. Most of the attacks that he's playing that we've seen so far don't have debuffs, except for, I'm sorry, most of the melee attacks that he has don't cause debuffs so far, right? So, and it's only one, granted, right? Like sample size of one. The other ones though, they do, right? The alienation causes debuffs, but he's also like passively dealing it. The disturbance causing debuffs, and then we have this new one, class skill debuff. So this is gather all 3 units, then 3 tiles of the character to surrounding area, then inflicts move down 2, inflicts active skills for 1 turn. That character also gains decoy lasting for 3 turns. When the effect ends, receives planning lasting for 3 turns. So it definitely pushes him in sort of a way, right? Like him being a melee sort of damage dealer seems kind of rough. But being a passive sort of AFK debuff damage dealer, I can see that. I can definitely see that. And then let's see. So what does active skills and decoy mean? Active skills basically mean, in regards to like common parlance, so to say, is that like basically aside from basic attacks, they can't use abilities. That's pretty strong. There are a lot of units, I guess, in events also that will have just like ignore disruption debuffs. So like maybe this won't matter too much, and that goes for move and active skills. But like if you're playing PvP versus other players, this is gonna be really strong. Like this is kind of wild. So if I'm curious how Luffy's skills, Luffy's speed works, like how fast he is compared to other units. But like this city's kind of wild. Assuming he's not moving, I think his movement is like 3, right? His movement 3? Wait, does it not show his movement? Wait, it actually just doesn't show his movement. I swear it showed the movement here before. Assuming his movement is 3, it's like, that makes sense. But if it's like 5 and he literally goes in your team, just like puts them in a coma basically, right? Because they're not doing anything. They can't use their active skills. Their move down is 2. That would be so broken. But also it's like maybe that's just gonna happen. Everyone's calling him a must pull, so like maybe it's not out of the bag. So yeah, that's really strong. The debuffs that they put on him basically. Okay, so before the debuff, they have the decoy. So decoy basically is a invisibility, so you can't be targeted directly, but it also increases your attack by 30%, which is pretty strong. I also think this is actually applied to the life loss damage because this is attack and not physical attack, or damage, right? I think life loss only applies to what is done from the stat of your attack. I think that's what it's based off of. So increasing your attack will actually increase your life loss damage. So that's pretty strong, right? Because you're bringing them close to you. You're gathering all the units around within 3 tiles, and then you're having them basically sit on Lutfi, and then just like you're stacking up all the debuffs there in one centralized place, which actually makes a good case for like having large AoE damage dealers here with Lutfi, paired with Lutfi, because they're all gonna be one area. That's like perfect for your like Luvada, kind of Kavare. I guess you can just add more debuffs too in that sense, but he only has like 1 strong AoE outside of like his Kavare set, which is like the moment that it rains, right? That one. But I'm thinking of like other large AoE damage dealers, which maybe they're not too many of them, but like what comes to mind is like a Kambe. A Kambe could be one of them, like Barrel, stuff like that. Just like put them all in one place and just nuking them all. Yeah, this is like pretty strong ability. It's like unit displacement. The debuff is like whatever. It's like it makes sense. They want people to spam it. What I am kind of curious though is they didn't add it as part of like a regular cooldown, right? So like if you look at these other abilities, hold up. Right here, like the cooldown for here is 2 turns, and you can see it right there. It's very evident. The cooldown for this is like basically 3 turns, but it's applied to like a debuff, which I guess is why they sort of. I guess this makes it so it's easy for them to change it based on like the trait. they can just check to see like, oh, what kind of planning does Lutfi have, and that's how it's like checked. But yeah, this is decoy is pretty strong. This is a pretty strong ability. Definitely puts them in danger though when it comes to like AoE damage dealers, because I think it can still be targeted by people who are just like passively adding debuffs to the units that aren't like being selected, right? Like Convallaria also has like a bunch of life loss abilities like that passively happen, and he can also target. He's not really technically targeting the unit, but like if the units are around him, he can like randomly have that debuff be applied to them, even though he's not targeting them. So like that could be like one of the ways getting around this. Pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. Not much to say about the aura. Personally, not a fan of auras, but I definitely see it being really strong, right? This is increasing attack and defense, defense more than attack, while actively attacking or casting support. Debuff skills. If the enemy has 3 or more debuffs, the character's attack is increased by 18% and grants master strategies. What does that strategy do? So the character's turn attack is increased by 18%. I don't know what that means, except for like the life loss damage is increased, but that's all I can think of. Right, because isn't life loss damage? I feel like it's not. I feel like I'm thinking like Magic the Gathering here, where like life loss is like not really considered damage. Damage is like the act of creatures getting in combat, and life loss is like a more direct way. Like damage causes life loss, but not life loss does not cause damage, right? I'm thinking like that. But the way that this is phrased, I think like the attack is just going to increase the life loss. It feels like how it should work in theory. So that's what I imagine. It seems pretty good, right? It's a pretty good defensive ability for alacrity. Although I never used that, like, I don't know, aura. It seems pretty strong. Okay, next up we have, I feel like I should go through these aura quicker. We'll see. We'll see in the future if this is like how long it should be, or we should do a little less. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's like theory crafting, stuff like that. Okay, so next one is Hidden Peace. Basic attack debuff steals 3 buffs from an enemy and inflicts 1 random level 2 attribute debuff. And life loss equal to 80% of the physical attack, lasting for 2 turns. Jeez. So this is basically 160% physical attack over the cross 2 turns. Pretty strong, right? Like if you think of most units who are dealing damage, it's like, in melee at least, it's like maybe 120, maybe 110, right? Or 100% is like common. If you're thinking about like long-ranged damage dealers, usually it's like somewhere under 100%. Like I'm thinking of Afra, her damage is like I think 50%. I'm thinking of Hasna, her damage is like 90%. But this is like 160% over across 2 turns. Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Mind you, it is only 2 tiles though, so maybe that's a big difference here. And also doesn't do damage. And I guess technically like it also can be sort of dispelled because it is a debuff being applied. And it takes 3 debuffs. This just seems like a super overloaded ability. I don't know. This seems pretty good. I'm trying to sit here and like reason like power creep isn't happening, but like this feels like it evidently is in some sort of way. It's a little different. Like you can make conversations about it not being power creep, but like it's pretty hard, right? Inflicts a random level 2 attribute debuff and steals 3 buffs. Oh my gosh, that's wild. Anyways, yeah, I picked this skill. I think this lends itself to work really nicely with the disturbance. So you're doing the 80% life loss on top of that. Assuming you're attacking like 1 unit, it's 80% plus the 40% from the disturbance on top of the 60% from his passive. Wow. So assuming it's 60% from the passive, 40% from the disturbance, and then 60% from the hidden piece, that's 180% life loss in a turn, just like passively. Just like passively, like that's pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say it's pretty good. Pretty good debuffer here. But mind you, also like this is with Lutfi not actively participating in battle. Like I guess the basic attack sort of is. I guess it's an active skill. But like others are just like passively. It's like passive income, baby, right? So Interesting. All right, the next skill is Discover Check. Basic attack, single target, deals 100 physical damage and inflicts 2 random level 2 attribute debuffs lasting for 2 turns. If the opponent triggers an attack during the skill, perform dodge and then pursuit, dealing 4% physical damage, and the character moves back 1 tile. This is neat. Discover Check. I think this is like a really nice addition if you're going like a melee route. Right, if you go melee route, I don't think you're running the disturbance, so you need like the energy from here. But also you're taking damage, so like you're getting energy from the energy recovery reaction. But it's also like, are you really taking damage? Because you just got a dodge here. You got a dodge from Discover Check. So I guess if they're all like taunted on you or like targeting you, and granted, Lutfi does seem like the type to actually go into the battle and just like, I don't know, be sleeky and cheeky and like no one can hit him because he's got all the dodges up. So maybe at some point they get through all the dodges and you take the 1 energy here. That's kind of funny, but like it seems like that's where the backstab is ending towards. But also it's like, if you're running the melee build, don't you want to get attacked? I imagine like you run a lifesteal in the build too, and so you just cycle between energy recovery and the extreme edge, so you can go like 150% damage. You take some damage. You probably need some way to tank it. I don't know how you would tank it, but you would get some armor to tank this. And just keep cycling because there's no cooldown between the extreme edge. And just keep doing that. I don't know how strong extreme edge is in practice, but like that seems pretty good. Anyways, back to Discover Check. Seems like a good, okay ability. I just don't think it is better compared to the Hidden Piece. Like Hidden Piece by itself just seems like, I don't know, just like better in general. I just don't know what kind of... The melee build just seems kind of lackluster in my opinion. Maybe. Let's finish all the skills first. Let's finish all the skills first. Okay, next skill is Checkmate. Teleports behind the enemy and deals 100% AoE damage for 4 times to random enemies within 2 tiles of the target. If the attacking same target is repeatedly damaged to that target, is 50%. Before attacking, crit and crit damage are additionally increased by 50%. After attacking, the character receives planning. Okay, this just reminds me of like Master Yi, right? Like, I don't know, you group up the units with, if I didn't put into League of Legends, you group up the units with Decoy, and then you do the Checkmate. Huh. That's interesting. I don't know. Anyways, damage-wise, this is, so potentially a max damage, 400%, not 400%, because it's, let's see, reduced to 50%. So same target is going to be taking 100 for the first attack, 150 second, 200 third, 250% for the third one. Can each individual strike crit, or are they all critting? And when is it critting? If they all crit at the end, that's 500% damage? Question mark? Or is it like, that's the only way it can be, right? Like, that seems pretty good. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this. That seems pretty good. Like if you're peaking around 300 attack, 3,000 attack, and you're doing 500. And granted, I'm assuming this is not thinking about it, I'm assuming this is like each individual one has a chance to crit each attack, right? Because this is if attacking the same target repeatedly. Like it's assuming that this isn't one attack, this is multiple attacks because you're attacking targets repeatedly. So it still seems pretty good. I guess there's like a crit build out there. If there's a crit build, it definitely is alluding to it because this extreme edge is giving you crit too. So you can build like crit Lutfi. Seems a little risky, but because like you're doing that, you're going in, you're using the Checkmate, and then I guess like alienation could trigger, but like this is only 8% damage reduction. It seems kind of. And like he doesn't have any like defensive buffs anywhere else in his kit. Seems kind of risky, but like also Master Yi is risky. So maybe it's an okay build. All right. So next one we have, maybe it's okay. I think this is strong, but like this is such a glass cannon build. Like I like that. It's interesting. Okay. Next we have Game Breaking Flame debuff, inflicts 2 stacks of ignition. Well, actually, I didn't check on planning. Planning is the same as the Checkmate. Okay. Okay, Game Breaking Flame. Debuff inflicts 2 stacks of ignition on all enemies within 1 tile radius of the target location and turns the turning turns a tile into burning. All effects last for 2 turns, and burning removes movement by 0.5. So this is the same ability, I think, from Luvada. This is kind of cool. I think this is... I'm curious if this ignition... Like, this is the debuff. So I think this will also trigger Lutfi's passive to its full extent, I think. Which is good. I mean, 100% uptime on your passive is, like, really strong. But yeah, this is cool. This is, like, a nice sort of... I always imagine this as, like, ways to slow down enemies for, like, your long-range units to deal damage safely. This is kind of that. It's not, like, icy terrain, but, like, it's kind of like that. Seems okay. It doesn't seem that strong, but, like, seems okay. One thing I am worrying, though, is, like, I feel like he's got high energy costs. So, like, this is 3 energy. 3... I guess he doesn't really. You can run, like, alienation plus disturbance. And then game-breaking flame. And you keep him basically as a ranged damage dealer. Interesting. I think this is strong. I think I should have, looking back at it, I probably should have gotten this one and not the checkmate. But here we are. Here we are. Okay, those are his skills. I think he's a really interesting character. I think from what I'm seeing from the character, he can be glass cannon all in, but also he can be like sort of a less nuky Akambe, because you just need to add so many debuffs on a unit. And if you're adding that many debuffs on the unit already, it seems like you probably should have killed them, right? Like they have so many debuffs, they weren't going anywhere anyways. So, but that's just what I'm thinking. Okay, so let's try him out. Let's try him out though. So hidden piece, disturbance. We're just gonna get like a nice little peek at what he might feel like. We just talk about how he'd play him with like my kind of build. Is there anything else here? Oh, I didn't go over this. All Sphere and War. So this is his default. All Sphere and War buff that gains 1 dodge upon triggering dodge, teleports the attacker's back, blends physical damage, and gains dodge again for 1 turn. Seems okay. Anyways, I don't know if I would be rolling with that skill, but it seems okay. I think decoy is good. I think I want to get to a point where like I'm always triggering his passive. And then summon bodyguard. Is this worth it? I feel like the bodyguard dies anyway, because there's no way that the bodyguard gets any of Luffy's buffs, right? He's kind of like Inanna in that sense, but also not. I think Inanna's abilities actually, or trait, will increase the bodyguard's buff, so we can try checkmate though. I'm curious what checkmate feels like. For swords, I did also roll for the blade stratagem. Crit damage increased. Let's see. Actually, when actively attacking enemies with 3 or more debuffs, crit damage is increased. So that refers to like going in his glass cannon build here, and outside the character's turn, physical attack damage is increased by 8%. And I think that alludes to the life loss. Which is like okay. It's like additional 13% damage. I think it's like okay. Like how does that compare with like this? Damage equal to his health. We can keep him a little more tanky on the tankier side. I don't know what would be better, but let's just, we can try with this, see how that goes. And then as far as like, I don't know, as far as like trinkets, what are you putting on him? If you're keeping him a damage dealer, you probably like he can't go like a support, right? Like in a heal you or buff you support kind of way. He's more of just like a debuff support that also deals damage. Because he has ignition, you could probably do Origin Hourglass. You could, if you're going in just to like run like a decoy and then a checkmate, you could probably go Maverick's Cloak too. I'm thinking like a disaster bottle though. So that way it like sets you up for your passive. And trinkets, Turret Whisperer. I don't know what to do with Turret Whisperer. I'm a big fan personally of like Devil, but I don't know if he's a Devil kind of person. Oh well. But let's just like remove this just for testing sake. Okay, let's go in here. Let's go in here. Let's see how Lutfi works. Okay, so we're just gonna go to a stage here. We're gonna go to my, I think, tried and trues. Just like testing. I think there's 211 here. We could do a boss. I'm just not sure like how. Basically, you go here because like I feel like these at these levels like they don't die immediately. Like units just don't die if you don't have buffs on them, right? Because you want to like test to see like what kind of buffs they put on the characters. Okay, I think this is the one. This is the one. Okay, yeah, it is. So basically, we're just gonna test to see how his passives work. So basically, what we're trying is, oh wow, he's got 5 movement. Oh wow, okay, that's kind of wild. That allows him position for sure. You probably generally want to stay second behind your tank, and then behind your tank you probably want your damage dealer. Or, sorry, behind Luffy you probably want your damage dealers. But he's kind of like a damage dealer. Okay, so 5 movement is a lot. And his speed, I don't know how that compares, but we basically did bring in lightning, just because lightning goes immediately after Lutfi, so we can see what buffs Lutfi puts on people. So let's start this. Defeat all enemies. Cool. Smiling mask. So I guess that was the smiling mask. Oops. I don't know. Locks on the 3 random enemies. Right? Didn't it apply something? But Luffy's abilities only apply to enemy units, right? There's no debuffs on them. Okay. Maybe it was like this Luffy that was applying something. Let's give her a check. Hypnotic disturbance. Okay. Anyways, let's see how this goes. So we can move him here. We can decoy, or we can try the hidden piece. Let's try hidden piece first. So we're expecting this to not steal any debuffs because they're just. Oh wait, no, they got a buff. The banner buff. Inspired. Wait, can you? You can't steal that, can you? That seems kind of weird. It's like an aura. Maybe it's like a one-time thing that happens to be being returned. You can just try it. So this will steal 3 buffs, inflicts 1 random level 2 debuff, and life loss. So that's 2 debuffs. So that should trigger 2 more additional buffs from Lutfi. That's 2 life losses, right, from his passive. So we should see 4 life losses in total. 2 from his passive and 2 from 4 debuffs total. 2 from his passive and 2 from his attack, but it should be 3 life losses. So let's try it. Let's try it on this unit. Oh wait, I didn't account for. So it depends. I didn't account for the disturbance, right? If the disturbance has, I guess it depends on when it happens. It happens at the end of turn. So it could potentially have 1 extra more life loss on that unit I attacked. So let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 life losses? Wait, why? 5 life losses? Oh, no, that makes sense, right? 1 life loss from the attack, and then 2 life losses. I'm sorry, 4 life losses from the passive, right? This can be triggered 4 times. And then the disturbance, does that trigger the life loss? Oh, yes, it does. So potentially 6. This is going to trigger life loss actually 2 times. This is going to add life loss, an additional life loss, but I can attribute it to across 3 units around him. So I'm thinking he didn't get that last life loss from the passive, but also you can check to see what life losses he got from the passive by checking what turn the life losses have, right? So the passive life losses have a single turn, right? If we go to here, yeah, for 1 turn. So we go here, we check on, oops, stay right there, lightning. We check on here. So 1, 2, 3. 3 from the passive. I'm sorry, 3 from the, yeah, 3 from the trait. Right, and they're all 15%, which is the max life loss can do. This is 10%, so this happened probably before the other debuffs. This is from the ability. This is from the whatchamacallit? This is from the basic attack, and this is from the disturbance. Actually, this is, yeah, this is from the disturbance. The 40% from the disturbance. Okay, that makes sense. Also, this is banner 2. Is that a stacked buff? Is there any other banner? Oh yeah, there are 2 banners here. Okay, let's see what Lutfi got. He didn't get any buffs, right? So there's like an aura. It's an aura buff that they showed. Okay, so look at the damage here. Look at the damage here though. So 80% physical attack. And we can calculate this up actually. So 80% from physical. 10%. So it's 90. Plus 40, 130. Plus 15, plus 15. Oh god, I legit forgot we're 130 plus 60, or sorry, 130 plus 30, 160. So 160 damage, right? Or 149. So roughly 200, 2k. How much does he have? So this should kill him. This should kill him. He's got only 1k health. Okay, let's look at the next dude though. See what he's working with. Single two life losses. One from disturbance, one from the passive. So legit, we had 3 passives from 3 of Luffy's traits. Went to the first bandit minion. The next one went to the other bandit minion. And so, I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. But also, like, geez. So 160% damage onto the bandit minion, and we've got an additional, let's see, 40, 55. So he's 200% of Luffy's physical attack has been added to the battlefield. That's a lot of damage. And just imagine if he had a weapon, right? So let's see how this rolls. So we can just like the lightning node back there. So he should kill the left one. Let's see if it works. Let's see if our math is mathing. Sure. Oh, he got a shield now. Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I just nuked him. He shouldn't die though. He had quite a lot of health. Smelling mask. Oh, look at that. I didn't realize it removed the alert too. Okay, cool. So let's try one more thing now. So we know that he does a lot of damage. Let's try the decoy. We can try the decoy, and then we can do the checkmate. I don't even want to know what kind of disgusting amount of debuffs Luffy put on him. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 debuffs, jeez. Okay, that makes sense. And then honestly, I think Luffy just kills here no matter what. Like, what is... Because this is... I think we calculated... Wait. Why am I... There we go. I think we calculated this is 250% base without like any... Considering any crit. 250% of 100 and... Wait, where is this from? Oh, the decoy. I see. So we decoy. So assuming he's at like... Just say 2k regular damage flat. This is 250, so that's 500 something, or 5,000 something damage across all these people. That's assuming it's all in one target, right? Spread out evenly though. This guy's got how much mana, how much health pool we're working with here. So yeah, we're definitely killing here. So this is like 2k. Oops, 2k plus. Let's just say 1k. 150k. So this should kill. We have one more gonna hear that we can worry about, but okay, let's try this. I'm like, I know they're gonna die, but like I just want to see what the damage actually looks like. Let's go back one actually. They're definitely gonna die. Okay. So we go here. We can just decoy here. Okay, and we can move him back. Okay, lightning actually might die here still though. Okay, he doesn't. Okay, so let's do this. They're still gonna die. Like, he just does so much damage. So let's just see what checkmate does. Yeah, I mean that was pretty close to 5k, right? Or more than 5k, just because we had the planning up, which increased it by plus 30%. Yeah, that was a lot of damage. A lot of damage. What else can we test? We can't test it because I don't have the Castalia for the rest of the abilities, but like, yeah, it seems pretty solid. You probably want to calculate this with, I guess, units more towards your level, just because generally Luffy probably isn't going to be like, I don't know, equipmentless. Like he's gonna have like an actual sword that does a thing. He's gonna have like this additional sort of defense or attack that's gonna be attributed to him generally for most like events and cases. So this isn't a good example of like what he could maybe do to, like a boss, but like I think in regards to like showing the damage that he can do, yeah, like he does lots of damage. But we can like compare him, I guess, with Akambe. So if we just like go back here, sorry, not Akambe, Kavare. I have to like remove the Kavare stuff though. He's doing like crazy damage. Okay, so if we go move him, Kavare's 270. Why is he that fast? Okay. So let's remove. Yeah, my Kavare is like stacked here. So yeah, Kavare also notably has the 40% magic attack over 2 turns, but he also has the roster. So this is like a big deal for his damage too. So inflicts roster, which equals the 60% of the character's magical attack without roster for 3 turns. Oh, inflicts roster and magical attack. So what does, let's see, roster. Oh, actually, Kavare is more stronger than I thought. I'm just looking at this now. It's like inflicts roster and life loss. I thought roster was like a type of life loss, right? Or is it just like a debuff that has life loss as well, kind of? Jeez, disgusting. Okay, so yeah, this is 60%, and of course this is like full star Kavare, so it's a little different here. But this is like 60% plus 100%. So this is basically Lutfi's whole like his passive plus the disturbance plus the basic attack from like one skill. Like Kavare is kind of nuttier. So, and that's over the course of a few turns. That's of course in the first turn against some target, right? So yeah, 100% plus 60%. This happens, but the roster can only happen when they're low, right? When they're in a dying state, or unless he like triggers it somehow, which he can trigger it from like his conviction. So this is why Kavare is so strong. Conviction, if they have roster on it, of course they've always got roster on it, deals another 100% magical attack as life loss. But also if you have the roster on it, it's another 100% magical attack. So the 200% magical attack right there. And like if you think about it, what's happening in one single turn, at least in my build of Kavare, you've got 40% on top of 100% on top of 160%. So that's 140 plus 160, so that's 300% magical attack damage. But if you're only considering what he can do in an actual turn by himself, like as damage, that is a little different. I mean, it's still pretty strong, but like it's just 100% magical attack damage, right? Because you're adding the roster. This by itself doesn't do much, right? It does have like you can apply the like you can apply the debuffs, which I don't think any of the the level 2 debuffs do. I don't think the debuffs impact impact Kavare's damage, right? Because that's life loss, which isn't impacted by any like invulnerable or anything like that, right? Because it's like just a debuff. It's like a state that just is going to happen. Well, we can check it out though. Okay, everything is fine around. Like this is why like there's a lot of overlap between Kavare and Lutfi, in my opinion. Is that like the type of damage they're doing is like really similar. And the fact that like they're both life loss damage debuffers. Okay. Like, do I want to move here first? Not really. Because I want to show like how much you can stack on a single target. Oh, they're enemies. These are programmed as enemies. That's why Convallaria put his life loss there. But as you can see, like, we also didn't target. It just added roster, right? Okay, so that's fine. So if we go here, we apply the roster. That just helps us apply the conviction. And mind you, Convallaria doesn't have anything on him right now. Let's see. Wait, something. Wait, what is the calculation here? Oh no, here it is. 2592. So he's just applying 2592 completely to that. But what I don't get is like, wait, hold up. What buff does he have? Why is it so? Is it the? No, it's not the gear. I'm trying to see why he's got a buff here. Right? Like, I just applied the roster. And attack is increased by 15%. Oh, maybe it's from this? This is probably the 15%. You can't remove that though. Okay, but yeah, like you can see, this is like gonna kill them. And mind you, it did kill them for Lutfi. It's just Lutfi required, like the bandit minion just had to do damage before it killed him, right? Because he had life loss. Like that's like one of the trade-offs there. It's like if you don't have a way to immediately apply it, there's like some trade-off there. It's like if we go do that again, just like to show. Move him back. Move them forward. If they're gonna get a turn to attack Lutfi here. Right? Yeah, see? So that's like one of the trade-offs of having like life loss as your main source of damage. It's like if you don't kill them, they will be able to attack you. Which is like a good trade-off, right? Like you're doing direct damage in that sense. Okay, so anyways, that is, I think, going to wrap up the battle part of this. And briefly, I guess we can touch on like how you want to build Lutfi. How can we best build Lutfi? Where do I have Lutfi? Where do I have Lutfi? Yeah, I gotta update my builds anyways for these boys. He should not be this high. I took all, there he is. Took all the stuff off. Okay, so yeah, so he seems like a really strong debuffer. I have not tried his other like abilities, so I just don't have like Stalia for him. But like as a debuffer, it's like moderately strong. Unlike Convallaria though, he has the ability to like pretty immediately and like reliably like reduce the or lower the attack of any unit coming in. So he's like a pseudo damage dealer / debuffer, right? He's like a hybrid there. So I think he's pretty strong. Whether or not you want to go for his like signature item, kind of mixed on it. It seems like just a straight up damage increase. Or like if you want, I feel like to go Newborn Blade, that works really well, because if you're going the melee route, he might need a little more durability. I think that's what you might get there. Let's see. I could. I was thinking about Senator Swift Sword, but it's like it says after dealing damage with single target attacks. It's like he doesn't deal damage though. He does life loss. I don't know if that'll work. After dealing damage, but maybe that works. I'd have to figure that out. I don't know. He seems like a pretty strong unit. Void Stab, would Void Stab work? Increases crit by 15%. Will the crit only impact the like checkmate though? I feel like that is the case. I'm thinking like, how do you want to get him like as a debuff build? Like with the best, what would the best weapon be there? Maybe there's the one that doesn't exist so far, unless you want to say a signature one exists. I guess it kind of does because it increases the life loss there. But like it pushes him as like a damage dealer, right? There's not like a one that helps apply more debuffs. which is like okay. For trinkets, you probably just want to go. I went hard on the Shield of Justice. Shield of Justice probably want to go for. If not, maybe Origin Hourglass, because if you get the game-breaking flame, like you can just run across those tiles without any issue. He's got a 5-tile movement, so like that's already pretty strong. He is in the back, so maybe you could make use of like, I don't know, some of these more ranged ones. Before an active basic attack, increase physical attack and additional 9. Actually, Breath of Concealing Ring sounds not too bad. I don't know how this level up works for this, but like this seems okay. 5%, 50% until the start of the next turn. This is 20% here. I partially don't say this because I already have it, but that might not be that bad. The Maverick Cloak might be strong if you just go in for like, you go in for the decoy and then the checkmate. Just like run in there, just like, I don't know, risk or like glass cannon it, right? That could be like an interesting build. Spring Pill, maybe. But yeah, I do like the Maverick. I like Maverick could go pretty strong if you do go for the glass cannon build. But if you're not going glass cannon, which I don't think I will be, actually, you know what? The disaster model. Yeah, I forgot about that. That model sets you up really nicely for like applying your passive throughout the battle. Okay, and then for Terror Whisperer, you could go probably just like more physical attack. Cast any skill on ally. Just don't cast any skills on allies. No healing effects. Ooh, actually, Guidance of the World. But like, is he actually using that many energy? Not really. If you get Game Breaking Flame, you can probably use like Guidance of the World every other turn or something like that. But if not, isn't there like one that dispels? I think there's one that dispels enemy units. That might be strong, but also might be too close. Oh, this one here. At the end of turn, dispels 2 attribute buffs from one random unit within 2 tiles around the character. This seems like okay. This seems okay. A little close, but I don't know. It's like you already have a remove 3 buffs from a target character. Like, do you need this? And it's not even remove, it's like stealing. So like you're actively removing the chance of you getting like good debuffs too. Kind of hard to tell if it's good. I mean, of course it's good. It's got like use, but like, don't you have a better whisper for this, Terra? Honestly, maybe just like a course of fortune character. What do you roll for though in Course of Fortune? Increase damage taken reduced, piercing damage enemies, recover allies in range. Attack defense might be helpful. Energy recovery, not really. I mean, honestly, like, I'm feeling like you only need one ability to use the energy that you get. Otherwise, it's like just stand by AFK. Seems like the build for him, at least from where I'm going. But I am interested in seeing what y'all have to say. How are you playing Lutfi? Do you play him more aggressively, as in getting in there for damage, or are you playing more passively and just waiting and going AFK just to, I guess, do the life loss damage? But I'm curious what y'all think about him. I think he's a pretty strong unit. I don't know what kind of. I probably have to like make a. There's like one guy, Soul Invictus, I think. He makes different team compositions. That's like a cool idea. I've not gotten that deep into the game yet. I only sort of like pick my favorite units, and that's about it. But I think like making composition teams might be, or team comps might be cool. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this unit. But I think this is pretty cool unit. I think he's a mostly and foremost like a damage dealer with secondary supportive abilities. Like I think something like Convallaria is definitely foremost damage dealer. He does have like one ability that, actually two that are like super heavy supportive, perhaps. But some of them also seem like they're sort of vessels to get to the last part, right? Like Convallaria's step. That's another video. Yeah, I think this is like damage dealer / support hybrid or debuffer hybrid, which is like good, but at least from my team that I'm using right now, probably doesn't need it. But I think he's definitely fun playstyle, because like you just passively like are nuking people, just like the presence of him, right? So it's like a kind of cool power fantasy kind of thing. But Let me know what y'all think about them in the comment section below. Yeah, peace out.